And hello everybody, we're live here at Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. It's time for Formula 5. My name is Isoix. I'm glad to be back in the commentary booth. You don't need to see my skill rating, but nonetheless, we are getting set and ready for action. Round number 7 is a go. It's time for the Russian Grand Prix. Again, my name is Isoix. I'm going to be bringing you live coverage of PSGL F5 in the PlayStation division, and I'm very excited for what is bound to be a very tightly contested race here at the Sochi Autodrome, of course, home of the Russian Grand Prix, one of the newest tracks to be added in the recent turbo hybrid era in the Formula 1 season, as we are just getting into short qualifying action. If you are new to the gaming of Formula 1, then of course you know that the F1 2020 short qualifying session is 18 minutes of non-stop action. Drivers allowed to set as many times as they want in order to put themselves on pole position. Again, we are just getting set for that. We have a full 20-car grid. Great to see. We do have a few reserves in the list, I do believe. But nonetheless, we are about to get set. And I'm so very excited to be back for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some very exciting racing ahead. And I'm just getting ready to load up into the lobby. Let's see. I just need to get the live stream up on my end so I can actually see all your great comments and everything like that. And I am back. Spag and Chips. I am back for sure. I don't know what BHMN on YouTube Home is. There's this new logo on the YouTube logo. I have no idea what it is. Anyway, nonetheless, we are here. It is slightly cloudy skies over here at Sochi, but it doesn't look like we have any rainfall, at least not for the time being. Whether or not we will see rainfall is one thing. It may depend on how quickly cars are getting out on track. We already hear some engines revving, so there could be a possibility that we're going to see rainfall in this session. So let's wait and see. We already have a Renault coming out. A Ferrari is coming out. Let's see who that Renault is. It looks like it may be. I'm not too sure. I'm trying to see. It is MMA Slash who is coming out of the pit lane. So we are under qualifying conditions, getting ready, set for the laps to get underway. In fact, let's talk about Renault. Second in the Constructors' Championship. 2 Haas of Quicksilver and Devon. Of course, Devon leading the championship at the moment. The Haas with 78 points, Renault with 60 points, also tied with Mercedes in third place, also with 60 points. It's a bit further of a gap down to fourth with Racing Point with 42 points, AlphaTauri with 36 points, 34 points for the Red Bull team in sixth, Alfa Romeo in seventh of 31 points, Williams of 25 and 8th, 9th for McLaren with only 9 points, and Ferrari having a woeful season in 10th place with only 5 points. It always, I don't know why, but it always just feels like Ferrari does bad in like every league that I go in. Like, Ferrari's just never a great team. I don't know, maybe we just support the smaller teams. Nonetheless, MMA Slash is going to be the first driver to get us underway in this session. MMA Slash currently sitting 5th in the championship standings with 31 points. He did not finish in the last race in Italy, which was completely soaked. Unfortunately, was not able to be there. Had some personal family issues, but nonetheless, we are back. And we are getting set for qualifying, which will now officially begin with the first timed lap getting underway. MMA Slash opening up the back of the DRS and now going down towards turn number 3. Actually, turn number 2, sorry. Then into turn 3, which is a very quick left-right chicane. And let's get the track map so you can see exactly what's going on. We'll get the lap data up as well, so you can see the sector split times as they come. About to exit out of Sector 1, still within track limits. Very easy to invalidate a lap around here at the Sochi Autodrome. A lot of places to invalidate, lots of corners to cut. Of course, you can abuse the track limits to a degree, but you've got to be careful not to abuse it too much. Drivers very easily get a little too overzealous and find themselves in the red on their qualifying laps. And we have a few other drivers on laps right now. Quicksilver in the Haas is on a lap as well, and he just set a fastest purple sector, so he's on the charge right now for the American outfit. VER Mike K, second position in the championship by only 1 point, is in the Mercedes right now, also setting lap, though did not go purple in the first sectors, so interesting to see that there. MMA Slash is about to finish his lap. He's coming up towards the penultimate turn here at Sochi. Handling it well, still valid on this particular lap. Coming into the final turn, it looks to be a decent one. A 129.7 is going to be the pace setter for the moment. Let's ride on board of Quicksilver. Jordy has gone fastest in the Ferrari, one of the newer drivers onto the grid here in F5. Of course, Jordy, of course, not a new driver in Formula 1, at least on the esports side, a very talented driver on his own right. Quicksilver coming into the final turn. Let's see what the Haas driver can do, and he's going to go 4th fastest behind Jules in the Racing Point, who currently sits 3rd, 129.9, about 2/10 clear. Quicksilver not able to make it into the 129, say 130 flat for him. Mark C with an invalidated lap. Lewis still on a valid lap. Of course, the winner of the Monaco GP. Coming through in the final sector. Lots of times flying on the board. LBR has gone fastest, 129.644, ahead of Dirtamo, who is 2nd fastest. Lewis comes across the line. Lewis going 3rd fastest of a 129.7. So the times are really starting to fly in now. Let's ride on board of Janik, an invalidated lap for him. Ollie Flavel is on a valid lap in the Williams. Let's see how he can settle in to the grid here. About to come into the final turn, a little squirmish out of the rear, and coming across the line, only 13th fastest, 130.3. QVR Cortez on an invalidated lap. Tim Wentick in the McLaren is barely within track limits here, and it looks like he's going for another round of a lap. So that is it right now for all of the timed laps for the moment. Tim Wentick is flying through the Sochi Autodrome. It's right on board with the McLaren driver as he's flying through the turns. A little bit of a lockup, very unorthodox place to have a lockup there. As you can see the tires screeching. Now getting on to the next DRS straight of this particular lap. There is a yellow flag, and that is one of the Alfa Romeos. It's Cortez letting by Wentick, who is flying down the straight, DRS activated in hot lap mode, of course, getting the most out of the ERS deployment of the McLaren F1 car. Now coming into the 3rd sector here, we'll see how this comes out. No purple sectors yet. A big lockup into the uphill left-hander before now coming to the penultimate corner. Back on the power, now back into the penultimate turn. Not using much of the curve there, and now a lot of the curve being used as he comes into the final turn, but it's only going to be 15th fastest for Tim Wentick, 130.3, and he's going to want to improve on that one. Matt Tebos is on an invalidated lap. Janik is going around again, and this time looks like it's been yielded a little more successfully for him here. Still valid on this particular lap in a hot lap mode, so definitely going for another one. He's actually gone fastest in the 2nd sector. A big lockup coming out of the end of Sector 3 there. That's going to lose him a bit of time. And, oh, very squirmish out of the rear, putting on the power a little too early. And another big slide out of that turn. Very easy to lose the back end if you're not too careful. You got to be careful about how hard you're turning in there. And now coming into the penultimate turn, surprised he didn't get an invalidation there. Another big lockup. And we're going to see the time. It's only going to be a 16th fastest time. That is currently last of all the drivers with times on the board. And that probably has a lot to do with that Sector 3 performance because it was not pretty. Plevs, meanwhile, though, does not set anything nicer. Plevs, 131.6, not a time to behold for the Red Bull driver, who is far away from his teammate. He was all the way up in 2nd position with a 129.658. So definitely some time to make up. Matt Tebos is not going to be setting a lap on this particular occasion. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a pit stop, given that those tires are now a few laps old. Let's actually bring up the, we'll keep up, we want to disable that, and we'll get the fitted tires on. So actually Matt Tebos is actually on new tires, it looks like. Oldest tires are now Janik, so 2 lap old softs, and that only yielded him 16th place, as you might expect. Jordy seems to be on another lap, so we're going to ride on board with the Ferrari driver as he's got the DRS flap open from the rear, of course increasing your top-end speed by about 11 miles per hour before braking into turn 2, then coming into turn 3, which isn't much of a turn after turn 2, and now through the very famous part of the Sochi Autodrome, of course, this winding left-hand turn. The G-force on the head must be insane in the real world. And oh, no, not an invalidation right there for Jordy. Just cut a bit too much of the track, and that's what we were talking about in terms of the ease of cutting the track here at Sochi. Very easy to cut certain corners, extend certain lines. Drivers do have to be careful. They want to be greedy here, but they can't be too greedy because it's going to end up with an invalidation like that. Jordy is going to have to go around again and try for another lap. And I'm going to try to connect back to the YouTube channel so I can see all your comments. So Jordy, unfortunately, had to abort that lap. Let's ride on board with LRB, who is on a lap right now in the Racing Point. Not using as much of the curb as a few of his other competitors there coming into turn 2. Much more off the curb than we saw Jordy. And keeping it clean so far, no problem for him. And it's a fastest first sector, so he is on the charge right now in the Racing Point. Oh, no, he had a problem. So I was trying to scroll down to see the comments, and it looks like he lost it a little bit. And, oh, is he having problems? I think he lost his, is he lost part of his front wing or all of it? I'm not too, no, he seems fine. No, he has lost some of his front wing, so he must have lost it there. I do apologize, kind of missed the look there. Gonna ride on board after Tama was having major sliding issues coming into Sector 3. Keeps it okay out of the uphill sector, and oh my goodness, really losing the back end. That setup seemed to be very loose, and he scrapes the wall coming into the penultimate turn. Now the final turn navigated. Dertamo does not improve. He is 2/10 slower than his previous lap. Lewis is coming towards Sector 2. Does not set a fastest Sector 1. Dream Indigo, who I was just commentating on in another league just yesterday, is currently 6th fastest in the AlphaTauri. Dream Indigo, definitely a driver to watch out for. Got a lot of his pace on his own right. And he's letting by the Williams, and that may be Brandon Glover. Yes, it is. Ollie Flavel, his teammate, a little bit far behind. Split between two by spaghetti chips in the Alfa Romeo. Brandon Glover is about to finish a lap here, and the rear snaps from the back of him as he is coming into the penultimate turn, and now the final turn for the white and blue Williams team. And he is going to go a little bit faster, but it's not going to be much of an improvement. And there's somebody new on pole position, and that is Lewis, 129.2, a majorly fast lap time from the AlphaTauri driver. Devin, meanwhile, has also improved his time. Cortez as well, 3rd fastest, trying to keep up with everybody. It's definitely difficult alone with all 20 cars on the grid. I'm going to ride on board with Alpha AZT in the Renault as he is about to finish up a lap here, coming towards the end of the sector. Well, actually, he's not on a lap, so we're not going to ride on board of him, at least not for now. I was just noticing the overtake, or not the overtake, just the fact there's no ERS being used. Let's ride on board of Janik, who is definitely on a lap, has not been able to really get anything together, but he has gone fastest in the first sector. A little bit of unstable out of the front of the car, but he seems to be keeping it together okay for the moment. He's got somebody in front of him, that is Lewis, who does promptly get out of the way, so no impeding there on that particular lap. And it's looking good right now. Nice and sharp, very precise right now for Janik, who is looking to get up where his teammate is, who's currently 7th fastest overall in this qualifying session. Only about 5.5 minutes left to go, and that's a fastest 2nd sector. So Janik is really on the charge right now. Now, meanwhile, remember, he had a very poor 3rd sector. A lot of problems from the rear. Let's hope he keeps it together this time. and he comes into the uphill section much tighter on this particular lap. And oh my goodness, almost an invalidation there. Somebody has improved ahead of him, and we're going to see how much he improves by, because this is a very good lap. And oh, it's an invalidation right there at the very end, and that would have been a 129.6 easily into the top 4 here at qualifying, or at least the top 5, I think, maybe. But that was an invalidation by Janik, a costly mistake there, and that's not the first time we've seen a mistake. This time it happens to be an invalidation, and the Ferraris are not where they want to be. 7th for Jordy, of course, a good place for him, but Janik is not in a very comfortable position, only 18th on the grid with another invalidation, and he may not have a lot of time to set another lap. He's going to have to really push it, and I don't think Janik's going to have enough time unless he just uses these particular tires. But anything, at least into the top 10, would be favorable for him. LBR is trying for another lap. This will probably be his last one on this particular set of soft tires. It is a brand new set of softs, and oh my goodness, really having bad problems out of the rear there. I don't know if he's going to continue on up the lap. It looks like he's going to push onward, coming through the sweeping left-hand turn. And look at this, let's see, and he is still valid, and he still has his front wing as well, so that is rather important. And he has gone slower in the first sector by about a 10th, and looks like he may have backed off a little bit. I'm not too sure, but it's not looking like the tidiest of laps from LRB. Looks like he's still going for it. We'll see if he can improve in the second sector. He only needs a little bit. I want to run on board as well with Mike K, who is taking adventurous lines off track. Jules is coming into the pit lane, so we'll go back up to LRB, who is coming through the third sector now. Into the uphill chicane. The rear looks fine, a little snappy, but nonetheless keeps it all together. And no, he's going to go into the pit lane, so not happy with that particular lap. I don't blame him. He's going to have to go out of the pit lane pretty quickly, though. I don't know if he has enough time, actually, to get around again. Of course, pit lane time's much longer, given the fact you have to go into your pit box as well, like fully into the pit box. So we may not see LRB able to go for another lap. We'll have to wait and see. Janik is also back into the pit lane. Mark C is on a outlap, so he'll be able to go again. Lewis also on an outlap, definitely going to be able to go again. Anybody in the pit lane right now who is not currently on outlaps, they're going to be in trouble, though. I think that they need to get out pretty quickly here. Quicksilver is out, sitting 5th fastest. Both of the Haas's in very comfortable positions, constructors-wise, right now. Dirtamo is about to start a lap. Let's see how he fares. He was sitting second at one point, has dropped down to 6th now, just ahead of Jordy, behind Quicksilver by only 1,000th of a second. So the split times are this is going to be trouble here, as his teammate and the Mercedes are going side by side down the pit straight right there. And I don't know if Dirtamo's had an invalidation, and he's going to have to wing it around the track again if he wants to go for another one. But that was a little tricky out of the pit lane right there. No real fault to Plevs or Marks or the other Mercedes of Mike K. Can't really blame him for that particular situation occurring. And there's problems here. There's a little bit of racing going on. That's Dirtamo and Jules. Now, Dirtamo may have been upheld a little bit. Of course, he is not on a actual flying lap at this point, so I don't think there'll be any problems. But it's very, very busy here at Sochi, so drivers are not having a lot of opportunities for clean laps. And it looks like Dream Indigo is going for one more lap here, and there's been a migration of a host. And I think that Dirtamo has left the session. So Dirtamo's in the pit lane, and he is not in the session currently, so he may need an invite. I'll try to invite him at the end of here, unless he doesn't have a backup. Nonetheless, MMA Slash is on a lap as well, sitting 8th fastest. The Renault team is not looking good right now in this particular qualifying session, sitting 8th and 11th respectively. Lewis is faster currently on this particular lap. He's in the second sector right now. Looked like he was about a tenth and a half down on his previous first sector. So Lewis looking to extend his advantage even more right now. Was it a one-shot fluke in Monaco, or can he continue his success? Let's see as he's coming towards the end, and he is faster in the second sector by two and a half tenths of a second, and it's looking really good. Jordy has retired from the session. He is done with his qualifying session, and you would expect so. He is only seventh fastest at the moment. He might drop down depending on who sets faster times. Lewis looking, though, to extend his advantage provisionally for pole position, keeps it within track limits into the final turn, coming across the line, and it's almost going to be into the 128 to 129.001, and that's fastest for Lewis. We're going to ride on board Devin. No, Devin is done in qualifying. It looks like he has aborted the particular lap he is on. We're riding aboard of Cortez right now on the Alfa Romeo. He's currently sitting third fastest. His teammate Quicksilver a little bit further behind. Sorry, Devin's teammate Quicksilver a little bit further behind is also on the lap. We're going to see how Cortez fares on this final lap, and a big spin out of the end there, and that's a big crash, and it's not an improvement. Quicksilver goes into the pits. There's not a lot of drivers left who can improve enough to maybe make it into a further position here. Mike K on a lap right now, and it's not looking good for him right now. Dertamo is back in the session. Good to see that. Now here comes VR Mike K. He's coming across the line. It's going to be very, very close, and he's going to go just a bit faster, and we have a few faster times going up right here, and it's Janik who finally gets a great time in, and what a time it is, because it's a 129.521, and he gets beaten by LRB, though, who goes second fastest, 129.3. A major quick time from the Racing Point. The Ferrari of Janik puts in the horsepower, though, for the Italian pride and puts them in the top three here in qualifying. But Lewis, 11.004, is your man on pole position here today. What a lap time from him. Almost a 129 flat exactly, almost into the 128s, and Lewis a clear, almost 3.5 tenths clear of LRB, and that is a major lap time from the AlphaTauri driver, who is looking to bring up both himself and his constructor outfit further in the standings. And a very exciting qualifying session there. There's your grid order. Lewis in second. Lewis is first on pole position. LRB in second. Janik in third. Fourth for Matt Tebos. Devin in fifth position. Sixth for Cortez. Quicksilver in seventh. Dertamo in eighth. Ninth for Alpha. 10th for Jordy. That's your top 10 right there. MMA Saj in 11th. 12th for Gilles. 13th for Mike K. Dream Indigo in 14th. Spaghetti Chips in 15th. 16th for Brandon Glover. Tim Lentic in 17th. 18th for Mark C. Ollie Flavel in 19th, and Plebs, unfortunately, last of the pack in 20th position, far away from his teammate Dertamo, who is currently in 8th. Thankfully, Dertamo is back in the session. So we are set to go now. It's time for the Russian Grand Prix. Again, thank you so much for joining us, everybody, live right now from PSGL. You're watching live coverage of the Formula 5 World Championship in Premier Sim Gaming League's PlayStation division, and we are just getting set for this 50% race here around Russia, as there are all the drivers on the side there. We'll get to the formation lap. I'll go over the grid order for you one more time, but it is time nonetheless for a little Russian Grand Prix action. Glad to be back, of course, this week. It's great to be back commentating this awesome, awesome league with so many talented drivers. Let's get set for action. About to begin the 50% race. 17 seconds until sessions start here. Dream Indigo, Devin, and a whole bunch of other drivers getting ready right now for the start of this race. And we're just waiting for all the drivers to load up there. That's that singular red light that comes on, and the formation lap is underway, and Lewis gets us going. A 129.001 was the fastest time of the session, and he puts himself on pole position here today in Russia. LRB 05 is in second position alongside the AlphaTauri driver. Janik, with a really impressive final lap in qualifying, puts himself third position after being way down the order of the pack earlier in qualifying. Matt Tebow's second row of the grid for him as well. He goes 4th fastest. Again, not too great for him in most of the qualifying session. Definitely improved at the end there. Devin just ekes into the top 5 for the Haas outfit, but maybe a little lower than he'd like to be given his lead in the championship. QVR Cortez, 6th fastest. And that's going to put him in 6th with the soft compound tire on there. Quicksilver, 7th fastest for the Haas team. Both Haas drivers not as high as they probably like to be, and there is some sputtering going on from one of those cars. Dertamo is 8th fastest for the Red Bull team. And Alpha AZT in 9th, and Jordy rounds off the top 10. Let's go over the rest of the grid order from 11th down with this free choice of tire. Immediately, MMA Slash going for a medium tire strategy. Gilles also on the mediums in 12th. Mike K, way back from his championship rival, is down in 13th position. Dream Indigo in 14th position on the medium. Spaghetti Chips, 15th fastest on the medium tire. Brandon Glover on the mediums in 16th. 17th, soft tire for Tim Wentic. Mark C on the mediums in 18th. Ollie Flavel in 19th on the mediums. And Plebs has decided to go on to the mediums right there. And there's your predicted pit stop strategy for the soft strategy, either soft medium or soft hards. That's F1 Insights predicted by Amazon Web Services. I expect probably most will go for the medium tire. It's not a huge drop-off in performance. That is, of course, if you start on the softs. And Lewis now lining up on his grid position slot. And there is LRB beside him. There is Janik, and there is Matt Tebos coming in. And the rest of the grid is forming up right now as they're getting ready for those 5 red lights. They're going to get us on ready for the start of this race. 27 laps around the Sochi Autodrome for round number 7 of the PSGL F5 World Championship. And again, there's your pit stop strategy. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And in Russia, the lights are out and away we go. And Lewis gets a very good start from P1. And he moves in the first position already, immediately keeps that place in first. LRB in second position, now trying to go side by side with the AlphaTauri driver, not able to do it. They go almost 4 wide into the turn there. How does that work? I don't think it did. Somebody, I think, picked up contact right there and a little bit of damage on the front wing perhaps. But here we go. Devin now trying to go side by side with one of the McLaren. Sorry, that's Quicksilver going side by side with the McLaren right there, coming back on track. It's a very messy first lap for these drivers, and on the inside was Matt Tebos there, who gets back ahead of Quicksilver. Devin is actually away cleanly in 4th position. Good for him. Janik in 3rd position keeps his place. LRB in 2nd position, with Lewis still leading the pack as he got a great getaway, and he keeps his position immediately from pole position. Pole position very important here in Russia. Not a whole lot of places to make overtakes. We'll see how he does in this affair, in this race, as we move on with the rest of the lap right now, trying to see if anybody trying to make up some positions here. Matt Tebos currently sitting 5th, Quicksilver behind him, Dortamo in 7th, QVR Cortez. We have some positions changing down the field, and Ollie Flavel has had a collision with somebody, and that has put him down last on the grid here, and that is not good. He's going to have to make a pit stop, and definitely going to have to change his front wing right there. Has the Mercedes have damage as well? Yes, he does. Mark C will be going into the pit. Looks like Plebs as well also has to make a pit stop. Somebody else is making a pit stop. Tim Wentic, he must have damage as well. And there is a lot of pit stops going on right now early on in this race. But nonetheless, let's try to find where Lewis is, because he's not in first. And there's a yellow flag out already. Plebs has immediately retired from the race, so he was just not happy with that start of the race. Maybe a little bit of premature from him. It's only lap number 1, but he was having none of this race. He retires in the pit lane after lap 1 contact. He thinks it's over, and maybe he rightfully did think that was correct, and it may be so, but nonetheless, 1 driver out already in this Russian Grand Prix. No safety car deployed on the first lap, only a little bit of damage, but meanwhile, Lewis is already picking up a pretty extensive lead, given everything, on LRB right now. 1.4 seconds is the gap right now between first and second position. Flavel, Brandon Glover, and Tim Wentic are not in the lead. That is an error in the standings. They are actually well down the pack, of course, given that they had that first lap pit stop. And as you can see there, the leaderboard now finally starting to update there. Let's bring up the position changes here. Again, Flavel is not in the lead. But Lewis is still in the lead. Actually, there's really not been a lot of position changes given everything. As you can see there, actually, everybody usually gained about one position. Most drivers gained at least one position. The biggest loser was Gilles, lost 3 positions. Lewis sets the fastest lap of the race. Of course, one stop for Tim Wentic, Glover, Mark C, and Flavel. That was that first lap contact. Current tire choice, again, as you see, Mark C actually on the hard compound tire. Brandon Glover and Ollie Flavel have decided to go on strategy there. I'm not too sure how long the softs are going to last in this race, but I think that might be a bit of a mistake. Penalties-wise, Mark C has a 5-second penalty. Not sure if he sped in the pit lane. Spat in the pit lane, right. Sped in the pit lane, or if he had, that was because of contact of another driver. Nonetheless, we are going to bring up just the tires right now that everybody is on. And we will move on with this race. So right now, it's kind of a single file line order right now. Not a lot of drivers in overtake window right now. Quicksilver probably the best of that rest. DRS has been activated, so now that rear flap can open from the rear end of the car, and we can get under racing a bit. Now, the problem is with LRB, he is not able to keep up with Lewis. 1.7 seconds that gap, so LRB crucially does not have DRS, whereas the rest of the drivers behind him do. We do have a pass down the order. That is Gilles, who has seemingly made the move well before the turn, and ahead of Spaghetti Chips up in the 13th position. Now, DRS straight coming right now, and he's going to make it well before the DRS even activates, and that is going to be good news for him, and he almost slots right behind. Appreciate that particular move all that much, given that was a little brazen of a swipe from Brandon Glover. There, nonetheless, Janik following LRB about 5/10 back. Trying to find himself in second position at some point in this race. Brandon Glover has set the fastest lap, meanwhile, 133.9. And there is another pass down the order. Mike K and Dream Indigo had a little bit of a battle, but Mike K quickly getting ahead. Quicksilver has picked up the first of what will definitely be many penalties, I believe, this session, given how easy it is to invalidate laps around Russia. Again, riding on board of Janik. He's much closer to LRB than LRB is to Lewis. He's got the DRS help. He's got some battery to play with. About half of his battery still remaining. Meanwhile, LRB does have a little bit more to defend with, but is he going to want to use all that battery up this early on in the race? I have to assume not. But now 2 seconds the gap between... Oh, I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not too sure if the stream is going to end, but I am getting an internet connection quality issue. I don't know if you guys can see it on your end. It looks fine on my end. Again, I'm not too sure what the problem is. I do have the almighty snowstorm in the northeast here of the United States, so if there's any problems, that will probably be the reason. But nonetheless, everything seems fine on my end, so we'll continue on moving forward. Janik is still in third position in this race. I'm not seeing any problems. 1 second. Yeah, I'm not too sure why it gave me that warning. It seems the stream's going okay. But nonetheless, we will just continue on with the stream regardless. And it might just be quality problems. So if the stream quality is not up to par, I do apologize. LRB has picked up a penalty now of 3 seconds after cutting a few too many corners in this particular race. So he's going to have to keep it tight here. Leaders of the race definitely do not want to be picking up penalties like that. Devin with a big lockup there on that soft tire. And if we ride on board with the Haas driver, it looks like a little bit of degradation starting to form on the tires right there. We can't see too much. It is a little dark here at Sochi. with the overcast conditions. But still no major passes here at the top of the pack. A bit of a DRS train starting to form. Definitely one of the worst things that you see here in F1 Esports. I'm going to ride on board up there Tomo, who's catching up quite a lot to Quicksilver. In fact, we may see a move occur here coming into the turn. He's going to move to the inside line. Tomo does not make the dive. And oh, but here we go. Quicksilver lost it out of the rear end. Tomo's going to make a side-by-side pass into the flat left-hand turn. Quicksilver moving to the outside lane, but nothing can be done. Tomo makes the pass. So a little bit of a love tap maybe on the rear diffuser. Quicksilver now going to try to dive on the inside. It looks like coming into the turn here. Tomo just cuts him off. He's not going to allow that particular move to happen. And at the moment, Quicksilver down to 7th position after the pass by Tomo. A mistake from Quicksilver coming out of turn 2. And a nice aerial shot. Oh my goodness, Quicksilver's really losing the car here, and Flavel is out of this race. And he is, looks like he's retired in the pit lane. So Flavel was not happy with his race, and he has decided to retire after a woeful start. A lot of contact on lap 1, part of the contact that Plevs was in, and unfortunately for him, retirement here. I think he's noticing something maybe a lot of other drivers are noticing. It's very hard to pass here in Russia. That is what's noticed. Very hard to pass. Brandon Glover, meanwhile, is really putting the pressure on Cortez. Cortez is a very long 23 seconds adrift of Dream Indigo without any DRS or ERS to play with, and Brandon Glover is sizing him up. Cortez moves to the inside lane, trying to defend into the turn here. We'll see how Brendan Glover fares. Cortez can't do anything. He tries to defend, but he just doesn't have the ability to do so. And unfortunately for him, that means that Cortez is down to position. Looks like Alpha and Jordy are having a side-by-side battle, and they're still side-by-side, and they're getting very, very close here, and Jordy still has the advantage, though, as now it is Alpha with the advantage, going side-by-side. How they do not make contact in that side-by-side battle, I cannot tell you. Jordy somehow keeps it around the outside and keeps the position ahead of Alpha. That is absolutely amazing. Janik, meanwhile, must be getting a little frustrated. The gap, which is now 3.4 seconds. LRB in no man's land right now, just keeping outright pace ahead of Janik, who is not able to close the gap to LRB despite the DRS advantage. As you can see, he gets very, very close, and he gets within about half of a second, but he's not able to keep up that advantage. And a big lock up there is not going to help his occasion, though LRB does the same. Tomo is trying to catch up to Matt Tebow. It's about 0.4 of a second, now under 0.4 of a second, actually. But again, with that DRS, it might be rather difficult. Devin, meanwhile, look at this, LRB into the pit lane. And is Janik going to follow him? Yes, Janik follows into the pit lane. Lewis stays out. So now here comes the pit stops. Around lap 7, it looks like a lot of drivers are deciding to make their pit stops. What does Lewis do? 4.3 seconds, that advantage. Does Devin try to go for an undercut? 4.4 seconds, the gap there. Matt Tebows is trying to make a challenge on the inside. He may be able to do it as they're coming up to this flat left-hander. He's in the slipstream of Devin. This is a great location to make an overtake if you can get a major slipstream advantage. I don't think he's going to get it on this particular lap, though, as he stays behind Devin, who has a bit of a lockup. But lockups, as we know, do not make up a whole lot of time for drivers like it does in real life. Lockups are just kind of for show, it seems like, a lot of the time. So Matt Tebows currently sitting 3rd. Definitely within striking distance, though. If he can keep it up within about 0.2 of a second, definitely come this DRS straight, we may see an overtake for the McLaren driver. The big question is, who is going to pit first? Is it going to be Lewis in the lead? Does he try to go for the undercut himself, or does Devin try to go for the undercut? We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, strategy calls here. And now Matt Tebows on the inside, now the outside of Devin. And, oh, here we go. Devin kind of made Matt Tebows go for a little bit of a mistake there, going a little bit too deep, but he still loses the position. So there you go. Matt Tebows up in the 2nd position. Now Quicksilver behind his teammate. You do not want to be having too many battles with your teammate. Now it looks like Matt Tebows is deciding to go into the pit lane, and diving into the pits also is Quicksilver. And Devin stays out. Lewis into the pit lane. So very interesting here. Devin stays out, and now I presume will pit next lap, but he is going to have the overcut strategy for himself. Alpha stays out as well, though we don't expect him to stay in the lead. MMA Slash will stay out longer. He's on that medium tire. Those medium tire runners going to go a little bit longer into this race. Mike K up to 4th. But Devin now has to react. He's going to have to make that pit stop. The big question is, does he come out ahead of Lewis, who comes out of the pit lane, ahead of everybody, ahead of LRB, ahead of Janik, ahead of Dirtamo, ahead of Matt Tebow. So Lewis, very good pit stop for him. With about that 4-second gap that he had to the driver behind. So Lewis, with a good pit stop, stays in 8th position, possibly net P1 after all of the pit stops. It really depends now with Alpha and Devin. Now, I don't expect Alpha to get anything close to the lead, but Devin definitely in contention. The gap right there is 2.9 seconds. Devin has to be putting in a flyer, I presume, and he has used up a bit of ERS here. And we'll see if he pits now. I presume he will react to the pit stop from the leader. Jordy picks up 3 seconds of time penalties there as we're about to move on to lap number 10 in this race. Riding on board of Devin. And yes, pit stop coming in for the Haas driver as he dives into the pit lane. And let's see now what's going to happen. We're going to ride on board of Lewis. This is for the lead of this race. Can Devin win this over? Lewis, I think, is going to keep the lead, though, because he's coming out towards the... Oh, but he lost the rear end right there. He can't afford to lose time like that. That could be costly. He's coming now into the final turn. Devin is just coming into the pit lane. No wing change onto the medium tires. I think Lewis is going to keep it. And yes, Lewis is going to keep the lead of this Russian Grand Prix. And oh, Devin losing a whole bundle of positions here. And does he actually lose it? The Quicksilver, he does. So Devin was caught out, and he loses it to Matt Tebow as well. A disastrous pit stop for Devin. He loses a whole bunch of positions on this pit stop. And Devin did not get the overcut strategy working for him. And Lewis keeps the lead, though, provisionally, with only the medium tire runners ahead of them, or ahead of him, who still have to pit in this race. So we're not going to worry too much about that particular battle, as it is a bit of a null point. But LRB is 3.3 seconds back from Lewis. That's a pretty decent gap. Janik 1.6 seconds back there. Tomo is actually putting pressure on Janik. So Janik, while is having a good race for the Ferrari driver, or the Ferrari outfit, may have some problems with the Red Bull here. Dirtamo, who is closing in on him with the DRS. I don't think he's going to be making a move on this particular lap, but he gets very, very close. Janik with a bit of a lockup. He's on that hard compound tire, actually, so that's an interesting call from Janik. He's going to go a little longer into this race, of course. Well, they're both going to go the same length. The big question is, which tire has the competitive edge at the end there? I think that it's a bit of an odd move. I don't think the medium tires are going to lose that much of their lifespan to lose the competitive edge ahead of the hard tires. So I think Janik may have been a little bit too overcautious. Meanwhile, now the medium tire window is open. Between lap 11 and lap 14 is when we expect most medium tire runners to make their pit stops. Meanwhile, Dirtamo, with the tire advantage of the mediums, does make the move. The big question is, near the end of this race, is Janik able to make a counter-offensive and find himself back ahead of either Dirtamo or maybe even some of these other medium tire runners? Because I'm sure they'll be catching up to Janik, given the tire advantage of that medium tire. As you get higher into the skill rank, it becomes apparent how much more pace you can get out of that certain type of tire. Devin, meanwhile, is trying to get past Matt Tebow. Matt Tebow does have slipstream, though, on Devin's teammate, Quicksilver. MMA Slash currently in the lead of the race. Mike K in second position. We'll see when they decide to make their pit stops. Do they do it early or they do it later? I would have to imagine earlier is the best. They are going to continue to lose time to these drivers who are on that faster tire. But they stay out for now. In fact, nobody makes the pit stop. Lewis now coming through the final turn right there. He is about 3.1 seconds back from Gilles. So he's already catching up to some of those old medium tire runners. They're talking about ahead of Jantic by about 0.6. Quicksilver now 1.3 seconds back from Janik, so he's definitely catching him. Devin behind has gone ahead of Matt Tebos up into 11th position. Now he's got to deal with his teammate Quicksilver. Devin, of course, championship leader, but only by all of 1 point. So the big thing with pit stops is how far back is Mike K after the pit stop. I don't think he's going to be able to get ahead of Devin here, of course, but it could get interesting. Devin, meanwhile, does have to get past his teammate for sure if he wants to make it a more comfortable advantage ahead of Mike K whenever he does decide to make a pit stop. But at the moment, he's a bit behind by about 0.7 of a second. We'll see how easy of a pass that is for him. Gilles is catching up the Dream Indigo. He's got DRS. He is playing with some of his ERS as well. Is he going to make a dive coming into the turn? He's going to make a dive into the turn, and it's a beautiful dive. In fact, it's well executed. Dream Indigo tries to challenge around the outside. It's covered extremely well by Gilles. What a move from the Racing Point team, and they make it in the 4th position with Gilles ahead of Indigo. That was a masterclass move into that turn. Very late braking, works out for him well, and up in the 4th is Gilles. But of course, this is really for the advantage when you decide to make your pit stops. The big question is, who makes the first pit stop out of these medium tire runners? If you're Indigo now, do you think about doing an undercut strategy? Or does Gilles surprise us with the undercut? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know what's going to happen. I have a feeling maybe all of the medium tire runners are going to be following each other in. None of them are teammates of each other, so they're not going to be held up in the pit lane. Tim Wentic is out of this race. He's had a crash. Or has he gone to the pit lane? Tim Wentic has retired in the pit lane, so he cut a portion of the track, and he has decided to retire. So Tim Wentic is another person who was basically done with this race. He was not happy with his performance, and he thought it was just over. So he's decided to go into the pit lane and retire. So that's another driver down in this Russian Grand Prix. The sun has started to come out here at Sochi. The track temperature going to get a little bit hotter. We're going to see a little bit more grip come into the tires here. It should be interesting to see if that is going to play into advantage of possibly getting some more overtakes, because the overcast is definitely not helping tire performance in this particular race. See a nice train of cars right there, 2nd through 5th, all who have not yet made pit stops. And I'm not seeing any yet. We move to lap 13, and there are no pit stops to behold yet for these medium tire runners. Meanwhile, Dream Indigo is about to be challenged by his teammate Lewis on much newer tires. Now, how easy is the pass? Dream Indigo doesn't even bother with the battle. He well lets his teammate ahead of him, and that's nice to see some teammate work going between. Oh no, a big crash! Oh my goodness, Lewis has a spin. I don't know if there was contact between him and Indigo. I don't think there was. Lewis has another big spin. And we've seen this before. We saw it in Australia. We see it here in Sochi. That's no front wing. And now Lewis is going to have to make a pit stop, and that surely has put him in the jaws of defeat here in this Russian Grand Prix. That's going to allow Lewis to take the lead. And there's a safety car deployed. And that has been maybe a bit of a savior for Lewis. There's a safety car deployed on that crash, but surely he will lose the lead of this race, and it'll be very, very difficult to challenge again for it. A huge crash for Lewis. He crashed out of turn number 3. Again, it looked like there possibly could have been contact between him and Indigo. I'm not particularly sure. I don't think there was. I think Lewis just clipped too much of the curb and put the power on too much, and he lost it out of the rear. And Lewis is going to have to make a pit stop here with a front wing change. And he might have been saved just a bit in terms of position, given that the safety car deployed due to that accident. But the medium tire runners are all going to make their pit stops, and this is golden for the medium tire runners. This is absolutely golden for them because under reduced speeds, they're going to be able to be much further ahead of the pack than they thought they were going to be. Now, the big question is here for drivers behind, what's going to happen here in the pit lane? Oh, it's very, very busy in the pit lane. Everybody's making pit stops. And we're seeing the drivers who are on medium tires decide to go onto soft tires. So this has really thrown this race into a doozy here. Meanwhile, though, a bunch of the medium tire runners actually decide to stay out. So Quicksilver and Devin stay out. It is now a 1-2 for the Haas team. Renault, meanwhile, also well within the constructors' battle, stay out as well. Actually, no, MMA Slash made a pit stop, but he got a great pit stop position. He is 6th at the moment on new soft tires, so this is very exciting for MMA Slash. Could find himself well within battling for the lead of this race, when in fact we do make the restart under safety car. But drama here in Russia. 2 VER drivers, 2 Haas drivers in the lead. Matt Tebos in 3rd position. FRL Jordy up to 4th position after all of this. And Alpha AZ in 5th. Meanwhile, Lewis all the way down in 14th on new soft tires, and he is going to have to catch up a little bit, about 15 seconds back. Unfortunate for Lewis, another mistake here in Russia, and it is more woes for AlphaTauri, just not able to get it all together. Dream Indigo is in the points, though, with just 1 point coming to his name. They're in 10th. But meanwhile, we continue under safety car conditions. Let's bring up the detail for position changes here. So right now, Quicksilver up 6 positions, Jordy up 6 positions, Spaghetti Chips, the most improved driver here with 8 positions up. So he is well within the points. Spaghetti Chips has really benefited from this pit stop, and he's got new soft tires. Whereas the drivers ahead are on old medium. So the big question is, they're not too old medium, so they're still definitely a competitive tire, and this safety car is going to help save some tire life for them. But are the soft tire runners going to be able to catch up to these medium tire runners? It's going to be interesting to see if that happens. Biggest losers right now, Lewis, 13 positions down. Of course, that accident which brought out the safety car. Janik down 10 positions as well. LRB is down 10 positions as well. So they also decided pit stops were the option. Now, I really don't understand that at all. They're like way down the order. I don't think they're going to be battling at all for a lead here at any point in this race. It's a bit of a questionable decision, given how close they were to the lead of the race. I understand the advantage of the soft tire, but it's a little questionable in my opinion, given how far they were up the grid. I think it's going to be difficult, given how everybody else around them is also on softs. So it's not like they have a tire advantage ahead with a lot of drivers ahead of them. There is a huge amount of this pack all on new softs. So meanwhile, we continue under yellow flag conditions here. Safety car conditions in this Russian Grand Prix. There is that Mercedes AMG Petronas, just Mercedes AMG really, car, which is the safety car here in Russia. Safety car for all of the Formula 1 races. Quicksilver in the lead. Devin also in the lead. It's a 1-2 right now for the American outfit, who are trying to extend their advantage in the Constructors' Championship. Again, let's bring up that Constructors' Championship. It is Haas in the lead with 78 points, ahead of Renault with 60. Mercedes is not having a good race. Mark C well out of the points. Mike K only in 8th position. Safety car is in this lap. Safety car in this lap. Devin, Quicksilver, Matt Tebos, and Jordy, their top 4 right there. Quicksilver is going to control the pack here. And it should be interesting when this restart gets underway. The 2 Haas's in a very good position for a big points haul, but both Renaults as well, 5th and 6th. MMA Slash may be able to find himself within winning contention here, given how close he is to these medium tire runners on that new set of soft tires. And Quicksilver looks to be getting underway early in this safety car restart. He gets underway, and here we go. It's about to be green flag conditions in just a moment. We are back under racing speeds. Devin trying to really warm up the tires. He just didn't get the opportunity to. And here we go. Green, green, green here in Russia. And Quicksilver leads the Russian Grand Prix ahead of his teammate Devin. Matt Titos in third position, fourth for Jordy. Alpha AZ and MMA Slash are already having a battle as MMA Slash with the clear tire advantage is trying to find an advantage. Dirtamo is going to have a big dive on the inside of Dream Indigo, who loses 10th position to him. So a very nice dive from Dirtamo. MMA Slash has made the move around the outside of his teammate Alpha AZ and has moved up a position already. Again, those new soft tires are going to work very well for him early on in this race, and now he's going to try to get ahead of Jordy, who has the lockup coming into the turn there. So MMA Slash in a very competitive position, given he's on that new tire and he's ahead of the pack of all the new soft tire runners, and he's already right up on the rear diffuser of Jordy in the Ferrari right there. We may see a move right here, and he's going to dive on the inside, and he is just eating up these soft tire runners. Jordy, meanwhile, may have DRS. They're banging wheels down the DRS straight, but MMA Slash is the man with DRS. It looks, oh, sorry, no DRS actually. Sorry, hasn't been reactivated. We're back under safety car, so there's 3 more laps actually before we get the DRS. But Jordy is trying to find a way past, or MMA Slash trying to find a way past Jordy, and MMA Slash on the inside, now the outside. The switchback between these two, a major battle right now in the safety car restart. It's going to be Jordy with the advantage, though, on the inside and makes the move. But now MMA Slash is going to try to challenge back, and no, but this has allowed AZ to catch back up, even with the fact that they're on the advantage of those tires. And Lewis sets the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. MMA Slash is going to try to challenge again onto Jordy. He's right behind him in the Ferrari. We got Dirtamo, though, trying to make a move. And, oh, that's going to be big contact, and I can't. Nope, somebody's caught damage, and it's Lewis into the wall. No, it's Dream Indigo into the wall. That's a virtual safety car deployed. There was major contact there. Virtual safety car. I thought that was Lewis who went into the wall, but no, it's Dream Indigo. But it's major, major trouble for the AlphaTauri team. That's one car out of the race, and it's VER Dream Indigo. And that's the carcass of the AlphaTauri on the side of the track there. And Indigo has left the session, and he will be very unhappy to have been caught up in that contact. He lost the back end of the car. I'm not too sure if there was contact. It was a little hard to see given the camera angle. But a virtual safety car has been deployed, so not a full safety car. We continue on, thankfully, I think, under VSC. I don't think anybody wants to have another safety car restart. But that was rather interesting. We'll see how long the VSC lasts here. Of course, VSC, here we go, back under green flag. VSC, you have to keep that relative delta pace, and nobody has picked up any drive-through penalties, though we do see a couple 3-second time penalties. Surprisingly enough, there only a few drivers are actually picking up those 3 seconds. Still, a majority of the pack are nice and clean about penalties. Quicksilver, meanwhile, has a penalty in the lead of this race. So Devin definitely in contention, the battle here. And now DRS has been enabled. And here comes MMA Slash with that DRS enabled. He's going to have DRS coming down the straight. Jordy, though, just has the DRS as well. Coming down this straight, 7/10 back for Matt Tibos, and actually that allows Jordy to actually gain an advantage on MMA Slash. Despite that tire grip advantage, it is Jordy who stays ahead. Now the big question is, when are those soft tires going to start to drop off? When is the grip advantage not going to be there? It's such a high degree that it allows drivers like Jordy to stay ahead of drivers like Slash, who have put on those soft tires, hoping that they'll have a far superior grip advantage in this race. There is just a big train of cars, a very nice battle going on. Spaghetti Chips is putting the pressure on AZ, who is being caught up in this this frenzy of soft tire runners. And that's going to allow Spaghetti Chips possibly make it up in the 6th position. What a great finish it would be for him in this Russian Grand Prix. Riding on board with Spaghetti Chips, he has got the DRS. He is using a lot of overtake, and it looks like he's catching up to AZ. He's going to move to the outside lane, coming into the turn now, and we'll see if he can make the move. They're side by side as their contact. It looked like a little bit of a bump, but Spaghetti Chips gets the position. So a nice move from the Alfa Romeo driver up in the 6th position. Meanwhile, MMA Slash still trying to find a way past Jordy, not able to do it. Maybe those soft tires are starting to lose their competitive edge. Jordy, meanwhile, is actually caught up to Matt Tebos by a little bit now, about 0.5 of a second. MMA Slash is so very close, though, to the back of the Ferrari. It's almost inevitable now that we may see an overtake here. He's going to definitely have to use some overtake on this particular advantage here. He's about on his rear tire on the inside, makes the move, pushes off the Ferrari a little bit. They're still side by side, but MMA Slash has the advantage, and now he gets ahead. And Janik has set the fastest lap of the race, down in 15th position. There's some battling going on. Jules was side by side of Alpha AZ there, and AZ is down to 9th now. He is just getting eaten up in this race. Dertamo has made a pass right there. Looks like on Alpha AZ as well. Alpha AZ down to 10th, losing a bundle of positions. This is great for the Haas team. MMA Slash, meanwhile, though, is gaining more positions. He's ahead of Jordy now, and now he's putting the pressure on Matt Tebos. So MMA Slash could find himself within the podium positions here in just a little bit, as Matt Tebos is a little bit further behind than he'd like to be behind Devin. And now here we go, the challenge from MMA Slash on the inside, coming into the Sector 3, and he gets the position. MMA Slash up in the 3rd position in this Russian Grand Prix on lap 20 of 27. Meanwhile, Devin and Quicksilver have not been battling each other much. Now MMA Slash is going to put the pressure on the championship leader, VER Devin, who is only 1 point ahead of Mike K. Mike K is up into 7th position. He has the soft tire. He is a bit of an advantage here. Now Jordy is down to 6th position. He's starting to lose positions rapidly. Spaghetti Chip is up to 5th, and now is trying to chase down Matt Tebos. Spaghetti Chip, this would be a monumental finish here for the Alfa Romeo driver if he was able to make it up further in this race. Jordy losing the position to Mike K. Mike K up in the 6th position. And now Devin has made the pass on his teammate Quicksilver. Was that a bit of a teammate play right there, as he knows Devin is in the lead of the championship? We'll have to wait and see. But it looks like MMA Slash now is going to put the pressure on Quicksilver. And then there will only be Devin to navigate in this race. What a Russian Grand Prix, full of drama, full of awesome overtakes, more than I expected to see. MMA Slash is way up on the rear diffuser of Quicksilver, and now coming down the DRS straight. Of course, Quicksilver will have DRS on his teammate, but MMA Slash has that tire advantage, but I think on this particular lap, MMA Slash is safe. Actually, Quicksilver catching up to his teammate by a lot, actually, despite the fact Devin has 1 lap newer tires. Jordy down to 9th position, now down to, oh my goodness, using a whole bundle of position. Now Jules making big contact, and there is a big kerfuffle of cars, and it's Dertamo who's the big loser there, and Jules seemed to have tried to make a move on the inside, and also LRB on the inside, and look at that, Jules did pick up contact damage there, and Jules may get investigated after a race. 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, and Jules retires from the session. Jules retires from the session, but I think we're going to be seeing a big penalty handed there after that contact with Dertamo, who got spun around there because of that particular contact, and he has lost a whole bunch of time there. And Spaghetti Chips up to 4th. MMA Slash battling with, look at this battle, back up to the lead near the lead of the race. MMA Slash on the inside, almost getting 2nd position. Spaghetti Chips getting involved now here as well, and he might be able to make a move on Quicksilver if he's able to get that pass. But now look at this, Mike K trying to make a move on the inside of Spaghetti Chips, and now Spaghetti Chips, he's got the advantage on Quicksilver. Quicksilver on those old medium tires. MMA Slash now trying to chase down Devin, though, for the lead of this Russian Grand Prix and pick up another win on the season here. But this is getting real fairly exciting near the end here of this race. Spaghetti Chips could be looking at a podium finish if he could just get past the Haas driver. Not able to make the pass on that particular occasion, but he is getting oh so close in this race. Quicksilver under a lot of pressure. Mike K, though, is looking to get past Spaghetti Chips on his own right, though. Of course, this is the battle for the lead of the championship. If he can get ahead of Devin in this race, I don't think he has the opportunity to. There's not a lot of laps left, but MMA Slash definitely in the battle for the lead of this race. 6/10 back from Devin, and now he has the DRS, and now he can use the overtake when he gets a little closer, and we could see a pass, and may even see a pass sooner than that. He's getting very, very close now, under 5/10 of a second, and now Cortez has made the pass on Matt Tebos up in the 6th position. This is great for the Alfa Romeo drivers in terms of the Constructors' Championship for sure. Spaghetti Chips getting very, very close to Quicksilver, but not able to make the pass just yet. Look at MMA Slash, 2/10 back from Devin. This is the lead of the race, the battle for the lead of the race. It's Devin versus MMA Slash. Quicksilver is trying to hold up Spaghetti Chips as much as he can, but he's not able to do it. This is big for the Renault team, despite the fact they are down one driver a bit, almost as Alpha has almost lost 10th position. Now, trying to go down almost to 10th position. He's in 9th position at the moment. The Haas drivers are going to gain a lot of points in the Constructors, but MMA Slash can try to bring that down a notch if he can win this race. Spaghetti Chips, meanwhile, has started to lose time to Quicksilver. I don't know if those soft tires are trying to lose their life. Oh my goodness, Mike K makes a big dive bomb on Spaghetti Chips up in the 4th position, and that was as long as a dive bomb as you could see, and I didn't even notice it coming. But Mike K up in the 4th position, he is determined to battle for the lead of this race. And now Mike K is ahead of Spaghetti Chips, who is now under pressure from Cortez, his teammate. Let's see how this battle goes underway here. They're both on soft tires. Are they going to play nice with each other, or are they going to get a little bit feisty with each other? MMA Slash, is he going to move to the lead? Yes, MMA Slash into the lead of the Russian Grand Prix, ahead of Devin. And now Devin is under pressure from Mike K. This is incredible. Mike K ahead of Quicksilver up in the 3rd position in this race is now going to try to chase down Devin. This is something we did not expect to see in this Russian Grand Prix. Two drivers who were so far apart in qualifying are now so very, very close in the race, and now we may see the battle for the lead of the championship. If Mike K can get ahead of Devin, you will see Mike K the leader in the championship. This is major news right here in this Russian Grand Prix. Quicksilver picks up 3 seconds of time penalties. Mike K does have penalties, however, we do have to mention that Devin does not, so this is another question we have to bring into effect. How many penalties is that? So let's actually bring up the detail there. It's only 3 seconds, so Devin is still within possibility of winning this race, though. But if he picks up a penalty within the last couple of laps here, as we're about to move on to the final 3 laps in this Russian Grand Prix, Devin may find himself in trouble under Mike K. Surely, I think a pass is inevitable. The big question is, will we see a penalty happen? We're going to bring back up the tire. We're going to ride on board with Mike K as he's now going to put Devin under a load of pressure. Big lockup from the medium tire runner there. Devin in the Haas, Mike K in the soft tires. Now down the straight. Got some DRS. He's using up some overtake. He's using as much as he can. He knows he needs to get past him, and surely he will get past him. Mike K, he now moves alongside the Haas driver. They're going side by side a little bit, but Mike K gets ahead of the Haas driver. But now Devin, a mistake from Mike K. They're side by side almost, but Mike K just has the tire advantage even with the mistake. Devin able to get alongside Mike K. Now the big question is, with 3 laps to go, can Devin keep it clean under these racing conditions? Can he keep out of the penalty column, because he might just pick up the victory regardless, given the fact that the 2 drivers ahead of him have 3 seconds worth of penalties. Quicksilver, meanwhile, is in 4th position. Cortez is ahead of his teammate Spaghetti Chips into 5th. Spaghetti Chips down to 6th. Still a very good position for the Alfa Romeo drivers nonetheless, and Spaghetti Chips will be very happy, I think, with that 6th place spot right there. MMA Slash in the lead of this race, though, 1.6 seconds. Mike K behind by now 1.8 seconds. 6/10 back is Devin. The big question is now, near the end of this race, are the soft tires going to start to lose their tire span? Are we going to start to see the advantage fall back into the medium tire runners? Because as you notice here, Devin has not lost the whole bundle of time to Mike K. Are we starting to see those medium tires start to lose their competitive edge? Can Devin find himself back ahead of Mike K, even without the advent of penalties? We'll have to wait and see. He's actually catching up to about 0.3 of a second now, as Mike K does not have DRS advantage. It's 1.9 seconds the gap now. MMA Slash may still win this Grand Prix, even despite the fact, oh, well, there's only 2 laps to go, so he's going to have to really push it here in these final few laps. But Devin is trying to put the squeeze on Mike K and find himself back ahead of Mike K on track. And maybe a bit of a mental game, that one is. Meanwhile, Cortez putting pressure on Quicksilver. If you look at the detail here, though, Quicksilver has 9 seconds worth of penalties. So Cortez and Spaghetti Chips, actually, are probably going to find themselves ahead of Quicksilver. They won't find themselves ahead of Devin, of course. He does not have any penalties on his own right. And let's bring up the tire life back there. Devin not able to gain a whole lot of time down the DRS straight. Only 0.4 of a second, though. Still separating these two now. 2.2 seconds, the lead between MMA Slash and Mike K. Can Slash bring up another couple tenths of a second and find himself in the lead of this race fully? I think he will, given if he gains some more time. Devin a little bit further back. I think that MMA Slash might be able to gain the advantage in the last couple, in this final lap, lap 27 of 27. 2.5 seconds the gap. Meanwhile, Devin putting the pressure, 0.3 back from Mike K. This is the final opportunity, I think, except for maybe this flat left-hander. Mike K makes a big lockup, but he actually gains time on the Haas driver, it looks like. In the slipstream now is Devin. He's going to have one more opportunity. It's going to be down that DRS straight to make it past Mike K. Does he even try to bother with the battle, given the fact he doesn't have a penalty, but he knows, I'm sure he knows Mike K does. Or does he just want to play some mind games to get ahead of him just outright on pace? Say, I'm faster than you. I don't need penalties to win it ahead of you. I can get it just purely on pace. Cortez, 0.3 back ahead of Quicksilver. Quicksilver will be dropping down some positions, though, due to those 9 seconds worth of penalties, and I think both of the Alfa Romeo drivers are going to be boosted up 2 positions. Or 1 position each, respectively. Devin, one final time to make a pass on Mike K. Does he do it? No, he is not able to make it past Mike K with a lockup now, though. 3 seconds is the gap, though, for MMA Slash near the final points of this race. 3.1 seconds, so MMA Slash has maybe pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Despite the fact he had that 3-second time penalty, he picks up some advantage. MMA Slash coming around the final turn, and he is going to win the Russian Grand Prix. Mike K coming across the line, but he will be dropped down to 3rd. And it's Matt Tebos who picks up a podium. Mike K is dropped off the podium due to penalties. Matt Tebos didn't have any penalties on his own right. That is crazy. Spaghetti Chips actually drops down to 8th just because of penalties. Dertamo up to 7th. Alpha AZ moves up to 6th. That is really big for the constructors, despite the fact Devin finished in seconds. Quicksilver, because of his 9 seconds of penalties, down to 9th. Crazy scenes here due to podiums and penalties. Devin on the podium, Matt Tebos on the podium, Mike K drops down out of the podiums due to penalties. That is big for the championship. But MMA Slash wins the Russian Grand Prix. And what a race that was. Drama, overtakes, and some selective tire strategy means that MMA Slash wins it. VER Mike K still gets driver of the day in the game's eyes, and he definitely picked up a lot of positions, but there is MMA Slash. He picks up another win. Devin in 2nd. Matt Tebos picks up a podium after penalties, and that is it for that Russian Grand Prix. What a race. Usually not one of my favorite tracks to commentate on, but this one was a doozy. to say the least. And my voice is starting to quit on me a little bit here, as I had to yell quite a lot there. But there's MMA Slash winning the Grand Prix. Devin in second. Third for Matt Tebos. Mike K in fourth. A top 5 finish for Cortez. Alpha AZT in sixth. 7th for Dertamo. 8th for Spaghetti Chips. Quicksilver in ninth. And FRL Jordy rounding off the top 10. Only 1 point, though, for the Ferrari team, as Janik just outside in 11th position. Mark C in 12th. 13th for Lewis. LRB in 14th position. Brandon Glover in 15th. 16th for Gilles. Dream Indigo in 17th, out of the race. Gilles out of the race. Tim Wentic out of the race. Ollie Flavel out of the race. And Plebs out of the race. So only, it looks like, yep, only 15 drivers finishing this Russian Grand Prix. But that is it. And now it's going to be time for some podium interviews. So let's actually get everybody who just finished on the podium into the interview room. But wow, what a race. The drama, the excitement, everything was there in that one. Let's get into the showroom and we'll start interviewing some drivers. We'll bring up the Haas car right there, and we will get some drivers into the podium interview room, which is just my party. And let's see, where is, and MMA, oh, well, MMA Slash is actually in here. Well, no, he's joined, so he's just going to have to join the party if he wants to. I can't actually invite him since it's the group is with him because PlayStation decided to add this glorious party system, which makes no sense whatsoever. But I digress. Matt Tebos is not on my friends list. That is great. Where is Devin? V's. Where's my V's on my friends list? There's like no V's. I have to unadd some of these people. This is insane. I can't find anybody. Good Lord, I'm just going to search it up. And there is Devin, so we'll invite him in. And then we'll get Matt Tebos. And, of course, Devin can't join in because of his party settings, which is great. So that was a waste of time. We'll get Matt Tebos in. And we'll invite Matt Tebos in. MMA Slash just has to join the party since he's already in the group. Bring up the McLaren. We'll see if we get an interview with Matt Tebos. Devin just has to change your privacy settings. Come on, boys, join. We need some storyline. Devin, I did invite you. We can't invite you because of your party settings. I tried already. It's all you, buddy. Well, nonetheless, as we wait to see if Devin can figure out his party settings, MMA Slash is in here, which is great to see. Matt, we'll start with you. You finished third in the race, and actually, well, who wants to go first? MMA, you did win the race. Who wants to concede?
Yes, Slash won. He can start.
All right, Slash, you won the race. and you picked up just enough of a gap at the very end, 3 seconds to pull away the victory. Talk us through that race. That was one of the craziest Russian Grand Prix I've ever seen, one of the craziest races I've ever seen. That safety car really made the difference for all of the medium tire runners in that race.
Yep, it did. I'll start through my qualifying. I did a lap in. My first lap was initially P5, and then all my other ones got invalidated, so I was hoping I was being in the top 10 at first, because I know the soft to mediums was a better strategy than mediums to soft. And then unfortunately I got P11, start on the mediums, and then on lap 15, I want to say, the safety car came out, and then after that, everyone was pitting apart from 6 people, including my teammate. And then after that, I wanted to overtake as much as I can early on, because I know at the end of the race it's going to be tough for me to overtake because of how the DRS is. And then I had I would say a feisty battle with Quicksilver, and yeah, overtook both him and Devin and got the win.
And that you did. So definitely a very impressive win for sure to pick it up after penalties. Matt, you pick up a podium after penalties. A lot of penalties up and down the order. Moved up a lot of different positions. Talk us through that race and how you were able to find yourself third at the end of it all.
Yeah, I think I was in about 7th place, and I knew a few had pens ahead. I think Spag might get as far as I can removed, so I think that might drop me down. But good race overall. Race pace dropped off a bit in the second stint on the medium tyres, and then I just got passed left, right, and centre by the guys on the softs. So I kind of just had to concede and then try and beat him on pens at the end, because I knew I wasn't going to beat him on raw pace. So that's what I tried to do.
Well, you got the 3rd place finish there, and unfortunately, I don't think we can get Devin in. I tried inviting him, but his party settings are off, and I can't invite him in. So you wanted the invite, but I can't do it. Nonetheless, MMA Slash, you win it. Matt Tebos, you get 3rd. Devin got 2nd position. And that will do it for this race today. This was the Russian Grand Prix, round number 7 of the Formula 5 World Championship from Premier Sims Gaming League PlayStation Division. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, live. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave a like on the live stream. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a race or live stream from the channel. Again, my name is IRSOX. It was a pleasure commentating this race for you. Join us next week for round number 8. We are getting into the closing rounds of the championship here, and it's going to be a good one. Thank you so much for joining us live, and have yourselves a wonderful night.